There is a kind of exhaustion that sleep cannot cure. You know the one I'm talking about, the kind where your body wakes up, but your spirit stays lying in bed, the kind where even simple things feel heavy. Replying to messages feels heavy. Starting work feels heavy. Even thinking about tomorrow feels heavy. And people around you will say, "You just need rest." But deep inside, you know it is something else, because there are people in this world carrying impossible burdens who still wake up every morning and keep moving. There are single parents running on 4 hours of sleep, workers surviving double shifts, dreamers building futures while carrying pain nobody sees, athletes training through injuries, students studying while fighting anxiety, people grieving loved ones and still showing up for life, tired people still move, tired people still function, tired people still endure. So maybe the real question is not, am I tired? Maybe the real question is, what am I tired of? Because suffering with meaning feels different from suffering without it. A man digging a hole for survival feels different from a man digging a hole without knowing why. One carries purpose, the other carries emptiness, and emptiness is heavier than exhaustion. Welcome back, my friends. My name is Grandpa T. Come closer to the fire for a while. Tonight I want us to talk honestly, not like strangers on the internet, but like travelers sharing wisdom during a long journey through the cold. Because somewhere along the way, many people stopped feeling alive. Not dead, not broken, just disconnected, like a violin left untouched in the corner of a dark room, still capable of music, but silent. The human spirit can endure incredible things. Human beings are far stronger than they realize. History has proven this again and again. People have crossed oceans with nothing but hope, survived wars, rebuilt lives after losing everything, worked through hunger, loved through heartbreak, endured winters both literal and emotional. The human body is astonishing, but the human spirit? Even more astonishing, because once the spirit has purpose, the body often follows. Have you ever noticed how people suddenly find energy for the things they deeply care about? A tired musician can stay awake all night creating songs. A tired gamer can play until sunrise. A tired entrepreneur can work 16 hours building a dream. A tired person in love can travel miles just to spend 1 hour with someone special. Interesting, isn't it? The energy was there all along. It simply needed direction. Purpose transforms fatigue into sacrifice, and sacrifice feels meaningful. But when there is no emotional connection to what you are doing, every small inconvenience feels unbearable. A 10-minute task feels exhausting. One obstacle feels like the end. One rejection feels fatal, not because you are weak, but because the soul cannot carry meaningless weight forever. Let me tell you something important. Human beings can tolerate enormous pain if the pain makes sense. That is why athletes endure brutal training, why mothers survive sleepless nights, why people stay in school for years, why builders work under the burning sun, why dreamers continue after failure. The pain serves something, but pointless pain? That destroys people. Imagine carrying stones up a mountain every single day. At first you would ask, why? If there is no answer, eventually your spirit collapses. Now imagine someone says, at the top of this mountain is your family's survival. Suddenly, the stones weigh differently. The rocks did not change. Meaning changed. This is why clarity matters more than motivation. Motivation comes and goes like weather. But meaning? Meaning becomes an anchor during storms. One of the greatest tragedies of modern life is that many people are constantly moving without truly going anywhere meaningful. Wake up, work, scroll, consume, sleep, repeat. Days blur together until years disappear, and slowly something dangerous happens. People stop asking themselves important questions. What kind of life actually fulfills me? What do I truly value? What kind of person do I want to become? What pain is worth enduring? What dream would make struggle meaningful? Instead, they become trapped in survival mode, and survival mode kills inspiration slowly. A plant kept away from sunlight does not die immediately. It fades gradually. That is what happens to many souls. Not dramatic destruction, just quiet fading. The world teaches people how to make money, but rarely teaches them how to make meaning. So people chase titles, status, validation, approval, luxury, attention, and sometimes they achieve all of it, only to sit alone at night feeling strangely hollow. Because external success cannot replace internal alignment. You can wear expensive clothes and still feel spiritually naked. You can have followers and still feel unseen. You can be surrounded by noise and still feel lonely. And this confusion creates exhaustion. Not physical exhaustion, existential exhaustion. The exhaustion of waking up every day disconnected from your deeper self. That kind of exhaustion is dangerous because it disguises itself as laziness. But many people are not lazy. They are emotionally starving. A ship floating in the ocean without direction eventually becomes controlled by the waves. That is how many people live. Not choosing their lives consciously, simply drifting. Following trends, following pressure, following fear, following expectations. And the terrifying part, you can drift for years before realizing you are lost. That is why some people suddenly wake up at 40, 50, 60 years old asking, how did I end up here? Because motion is not the same as progress. You can run endlessly on a treadmill and still remain in the same place. That treadmill is like your life without meaning. Distraction has become society's favorite drug. The moment people feel emptiness, they reach for noise, social media, entertainment, constant stimulation, temporary pleasure, anything to avoid sitting alone with their own thoughts. But distractions do not heal emptiness. They only delay the conversation your soul is trying to have with you. And eventually, silence catches up. Late at night, early in the morning, during lonely walks, after achievements that strangely feel empty, the soul whispers, "This is not the life you truly want." And many people ignore that whisper for years because changing direction is frightening. But ignoring your spirit has consequences. A bird forced not to fly eventually forgets the sky existed. Do you know what truly drains people? It is not effort. It is emotional disconnection from effort. Working hard toward a meaningful dream feels different from working hard toward emptiness. One nourishes the spirit, the other slowly erodes it. That is why uninspired people give up faster, not because they lack discipline, but because hardship without emotional meaning feels unbearable. When the road becomes difficult, they ask, why continue? And if the answer is weak, the journey ends there. But people with deep purpose, they continue even while crying, even while doubting, even while exhausted, because something inside them says, this pain matters. And my friend, if these words feel like they were meant specifically for you, Subscribe to the channel and join me on these conversations. Like this video so more people silently struggling can discover it. And in the comments, tell me honestly, what gives your life meaning right now? It could be a dream, a person, a promise, a purpose. Sometimes your words become a lantern for someone else lost in darkness. Sometimes people survive not because of what they are fighting for, but because of who. Love can make ordinary people unbelievably resilient. A father works exhausting hours because he sees his children's future inside every sacrifice. A mother survives sleepless nights because love gives suffering purpose. A person chooses healing because someone still believes in them. Love gives pain direction, and direction gives pain dignity. That is why loneliness often weakens motivation. The human spirit was never meant to carry existence completely alone. Even ancient warriors fought for tribes, kingdoms, families, brothers. Human beings endure better when connected to something beyond themselves. Now let us speak honestly about discipline. People glorify discipline constantly. And yes, discipline matters. But discipline without inspiration becomes emotional slavery. You can force yourself for a while, push yourself for a season, ignore your inner voice temporarily, but eventually the soul rebels. Because discipline is only the engine, purpose is the fuel. Without fuel, even the strongest engine stops. This is why some high achievers secretly feel miserable. They mastered productivity, but forgot to ask themselves whether the destination was worth reaching. Somewhere inside you, there is still a fire, maybe buried beneath disappointment, maybe weakened by heartbreak, maybe hidden beneath years of survival mode. But it is there because people are not born empty. Children are naturally curious, creative, alive, imaginative. The world slowly teaches people to abandon themselves, to become practical instead of passionate, safe instead of alive, and slowly the fire dims. But dim is not dead. A single spark can restart an entire flame. Sometimes one meaningful conversation changes everything. Sometimes one honest realization changes everything. Sometimes one brave decision changes everything. Most people think energy creates clarity, but often clarity creates energy. When you know exactly why you are moving forward, your mind stops fighting itself. Indecision drains people. Confusion drains people. Lack of direction drains people. But vision organizes the soul. A lighthouse does not stop storms from happening. It simply gives ships direction during darkness. Purpose works the same way. Many people wait for complete certainty before taking action, but life rarely works that way. You do not need your entire future mapped out. You only need enough meaning for the next step. A lantern does not illuminate the whole forest. It only lights the path directly ahead, and that is enough to continue walking. Most beautiful lives are built one meaningful step at a time, not through perfect plans, but through consistent movement guided by purpose. One of the saddest things in the world is watching people slowly abandon themselves, not because they failed, but because they forgot what made them feel alive. They settle for numbness, routine, emotional autopilot, and eventually they confuse comfort with peace. But comfort and peace are not always the same thing. Sometimes comfort is simply fear wearing soft clothes. So, my friend, if you feel exhausted lately, ask yourself honestly, am I truly tired? Or have I simply lost connection with meaning? Because tired people still move when the heart is committed, but uninspired people slowly disappear inside themselves. Do not ignore your spirit forever. Listen carefully to what brings you alive. Pay attention to what gives your suffering meaning. Protect the dreams that awaken energy inside your soul. Life becomes lighter when your heart understands why it carries the weight. This has been Grandpa T. And remember this carefully. The body rests with sleep, but the soul rests with purpose. Protect your inner fire, because once a person reconnects with meaning, even difficult roads begin to feel worth walking. I will see you in the next one.